We are live.
We're live. Hello.
Hello. I'm over here. Okay, let's get into our general position.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't know
Let's
you were
shuffle into
doing
our
that.
position.
Yeah, I was like,
No, this is a new format of live.
what, catching me like off guard?
Yeah, remember that
That's
time?
not new. You've done that before.
Well, welcome.
Welcome to Arty time if you're out there watching, and yeah, good to be back in the seat talking about art and business and fun stuff like making murals.
How long's it been since we done an art time?
I don't remember, like maybe about a week. I know you've been busy making a big mural, so like it's pretty much you've become famous in Canada. You're Canadian famous now. So explain how that happened.
Um, I got invited to do the mural festival for Montreal, and I went and I spray painted a lot, and now my eyeballs hurt.
Yeah, well, it kind of shows you. Is I don't know if you can see in the, but his left eye is all swollen up from the spray paint fumes all day. So yeah, but like, how does this make you Canadian famous? What does it mean to be Canadian famous?
Oh, it was mostly a joke, but I don't know. They wanted me to go on the news and
So
you
it's
know.
not a joke. He was at the CBC studio, like getting interviewed today, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And like CBC is like Canada's version of PBS. Like it's big time. It's like if you live somewhere where you can't get cable and all you have is an antenna still, like you can watch Germ's interview. Like
Canadian Broadcasting
Canadian
Company.
famous. There you go. Like he
Mm-hmm.
might even be on screens in Tim Hortons all over the country. Because do they play the news on TVs in Tim Hortons? They must.
I guess.
Yeah, so like, dude, you're gonna be like all over the world, like, or all over Canada.
No, it must be just Montreal.
No, Canadian. The CBC doesn't waste their time doing stuff just that's for Quebec's market. Their stuff is like nationwide. Their bills get paid from Toronto. Who, by the way, like, congratulations if you're a Toronto Raptors fan. They just won the NBA Finals here like 3 or 4 minutes before going live, and yeah, I wanted to go live like 20 minutes ago because I couldn't care less about basketball, and he wanted to watch the end of the game, so I was like sitting here ready to go.
It looked rigged. They're not even happy that they won. It was so strange, and that's why I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to watch it, so hey, did you get what you wanted out of it?
Yeah, because I've been having a busy week, and after a busy week, you want to eat a lot of cabbage, and you want to sit down and you want to see if the big sporting events are rigged.
I guess so. Cool. Well, I don't know. I didn't want to watch it at all because I'd rather be here sitting talking to you guys about art and stuff and becoming famous in Canada. Because that's a
Oh,
thing. Like being Canadian famous is totally a thing. Like there's things that are very famous in Canada that literally everyone in Canada and that most
Jim
Americans have
Carrey.
never heard of.
Joe, well, not Jim Carrey then.
No, not Jim Carrey. I was thinking more of like the Tragically Hip,
Yeah, true that.
or like Stompin' Ron Connors or Stompin' Tom Connors, and
Hockey.
yeah. Well, hockey I guess they know in the states now, but like I don't know if it's as big as it is up here. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what else is Canadian famous?
Tim
Smarties,
Hortons.
Smarties candy,
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons,
You
yeah.
mentioned it before.
Tim
Oh, the
Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons is Canada's Dunkin' Donuts, and like every city with more than like 1,000 people in Canada has a Tim Hortons, and in any city with like less than 10,000 people, Tim Hortons is like the place. Like it's at that one place, that one intersection that has a traffic light in those little towns. Like that's where Tim Hortons is.
In where I grew up, it's like there's a Tim Hortons like every red light.
There's
There's a
literally
fucking
in
Tim
some
Hortons. It
places
really
like
makes
Starbucks,
sense.
there will be two Tim Hortons across the street from each other if there's a median in the middle of the road, just so like people don't have to like go all the way and come back.
Yeah.
So this is a legit thing in Canada. So there, now you know about Tim Hortons. And speaking of Tim Hortons, I said I was not gonna leave you alone talking to yourself because I brought my juice here this time. But
But
I actually painted a Tim Hortons coffee cozy. So I'm gonna go get that and leave you here to talk to yourself in front of the camera for a minute.
okay.
Because that's where the conversation went, dude. I couldn't psychically predict.
Well, here I am. I'm just glad to be back. Kind of, obviously exhausted. Hopefully my eyes don't hurt tomorrow when I wake up. That's all that really matters. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. This, it already had the title on it, so I just left the title "Always Fresh," and I put my signature on it. But this is
That's dope.
this is the side I painted. I painted it like in my 1980s kind of video game style, and I left the Tim Hortons right there in the middle. So this is available. I don't know if it's up on my website or not, but if anyone wants it, hit me up. So there we go.
Nice.
This has been a Tim Hortons moment, and Tim Hortons, you know, if you start making stuff that's keto friendly for keto diet, maybe I'll eat at Tim Hortons again. It's been a while.
Black coffee.
Yeah, the black coffee is the only thing I can order off your entire menu. So fix that, Tim Hortons.
Get some cabbage.
Just get some plain eggs that don't have like sugar and stuff added to them.
There are eggs of sugar in them?
Apparently, yeah, they're egg patties and things that you get in, or I don't know if it's their eggs or the sausages, but like, yeah, there's nothing I can order off their menu other than black coffee. Anyway, that's a whole other story. So, what does this have to do with art and becoming Canadian famous? I guess,
becoming famous to a degree is important in art.
It is, or at least becoming like
Doesn't matter.
the image,
memorable.
the image of being famous. Like for other people who think that there's a reason to follow you, and
No, it's just memorabilia. It's to
Memorabilia.
remember you.
Okay, yeah, that too.
So if you're memorable,
yeah,
your memorabilia stands out and has an essence and an aura
that's true. Yeah,
that people can appreciate, and that's what the value is to them. Is they look at it and they think of the skill that person has, or the dedication.
But part of what makes a person famous to other people who they'll follow along for the ride and become a fan of something is also that the numbers. What's that? The social proof, which we've spoken about in previous episodes, but like maybe 10 episodes ago, we haven't spoken about social proof in a while.
Yeah, well,
so like let's talk about that concept in relation to how doing something like big like Mural Festival helps out. Like I don't know if you want to talk about the things you told me before we got on camera here about like the big famous artist who's willing to maybe introduce you to some of his galleries and things like that, which happened because of your exposure and your participation in Mural Festival, which gave you that aura and that vibe of being really well known, and you are in Montreal, and like now you're going to be way more well known in this medium and in this area and just worldwide and on Instagram. I mean, like you blew up overnight. Now you're no joke. Like yes, it's a joke, but it's not a joke. He's Canadian famous.
It's one of those milestones, I guess, for the career, definitely. But when it comes to social proof or clout, I think it has to do with how easy it is for someone to acknowledge and remember your story. And then how many times could you deliver on that story?
Mm-hmm.
So if the story is that you're a creative person and you do creative things, how many times can you deliver on that and come through with the consistent story to that person? Once they get that over and over, and when they think of a creative person, you come to mind. And I think that's what it is. Mixed with entertainment, mixed with
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's consistency is what it is, and like over time, consistency is what will help build your social proof, because when you're consistent over a long period of time, more people are going to take you seriously and take your art seriously and take you as an artist seriously and you as a person seriously, and they're going to be more interested in following along for the long term. And we've mentioned before that like 80% of an artist's sales are usually to 20% of their followers, buyers, collectors, whatever word you want to use. So over the long term, it's not important about having a million followers. It's better to have 1,000 followers who are those 80%, by that 80% of your art, the collectors and the fans who really support you likes and shares and whatever. They're all nice, and they help you get exposure. They help you maybe get your art in front of one of those people who's going to become a collector. But like I just sold a
A
piece.
thousand true fans. A thousand true fans is what you should aim for.
Yeah, I mean,
And on the internet, it's not impossible.
I just sold this guy, which I've featured here on Arty Time before. This Chris Dyer sculpture, which I spent almost 40 hours painting, working on him. Look, he's got the Van shoes there. We've discussed this before in another episode, but
Glows in the dark.
one of my collectors bought him, and it's a collector who's bought for me many, many times in the last 18 months. I think she's bought for me 21 or 22 times. And a lot of it has been original art. She's bought a few T-shirts and other things from me too. But like, this lady really supports me, and it's amazing. She really resonates with my art, and the way she supports me and encourages me makes me want to work harder on my art, because that's that. I don't know. It's like, it's just it's the way that when somebody goes and spends their hard-earned money on something, and they're willing to, make that exchange of energy with you for the time that I took to do that, for the time that it takes somebody to, earn the money to buy something like that. Like, when there's an exchange that happens like that, that's fair, it's so freaking motivating for an artist. It really is. Like, at the end of the day, it's all about the creativity and the sharing the vibes and everything, and having the encouragement from our fans and our collectors, like, makes it easier to do that and stay focused on doing that, instead of focused on other things like my job. Like, Germ's doing all these amazing things, and I'm sitting in an office making phone calls for part of the week now. And I see it in my art career. I see it in my attitude when I get home from work. It's like, I don't want to spend all night writing a blog post and then sharing it on 9 different social medias, and like, it's just a lot of extra work for 15 people to see it, and like, the algorithms just make it hard, and it's like, it's not that motivating. But then something like this comes along, where one of my collectors like buys something that I really put my heart and soul into, and it reminds me again of why I do what I do. It's not for me. It's like, I do it for you. I do it for the people who enjoy my art, and it reminds me to focus on that. And when I focus on that, I make better art. And not worrying about funds as much, it helps me stay focused more on that. So, like, stay tuned, because soon I'm almost done my big 8x4 foot painting, and I hope it'll be done by the next episode. I'm not sure, but the episode after, if not, because I'm like right there, and I'm getting excited to share that with people, because it's the biggest thing I've ever done, like, size wise. And
good timing.
It's pretty. It's weird, because like, I kind of went through this weird unmotivated phase when I was working on it, starting this job and having to adjust to all that and everything. And now that I'm starting to get adjusted, and like, I'm focused back on working on that big painting, like, I'm getting excited again as I'm getting closer to the end. And it's.
I haven't been painting.
Well, you've been painting in a different medium.
Yeah, but you could tell that
I haven't been painting, says the guy who's got no voice and frickin' swollen eyelids from all the painting he's been doing over the last couple of days.
Yeah, but that's not really the painting that, you know what I mean? Like, I enjoy painting on canvas.
Mm-hmm.
This is an endeavor. This is something that, like, is a challenge, something to conquer, and it's good for the business. Would I do it again next week? No fucking way.
Would you do it again next year?
Not for the same amount of money.
All right, yeah. All right. Well, that's fair
that
enough.
way.
That's fair enough. Let's, like, I don't know, again, another thing that you mentioned to me off camera before we started this is your canvas deal that you got because of this this whole murals situation.
When you're in this kind of situation, other people look up to it because it's a side parallel genre, right? Some people could be making canvases, but they don't necessarily paint on walls, and they'd like to. I believe this character in particular would like to paint on a wall. So when he sees me ahead of him in that echelon, he understands that there could be a... You scratch my back, I scratch yours. and we could do this.
Okay.
It's like I know how to make his stuff on a wall. I know how to walk through the whole thing, and if he wants the neons, we'll do the neons, and people will trip out.
Cool.
People might smash it though.
But like, are we talking about Hashem here?
Oh, I had people come in and interview me, and they were part of this.
Because that's
Art
who I was
store.
talking about. Your canvas deal, where you're
Yeah,
getting...
but this is something that, like, if this ever happens to you, like, eat up this opportunity. This guy came to talk to me, and he had the same last name as the art store. So I'm like, are you the guy? And he was like, yeah, I'm the guy. And then I proceeded to convince him that he should sponsor me and give me free shit. And I don't want his money. I just want free shit. And he go, yeah, I'm getting free shit.
So that's amazing. So that's one of the things that happened. Like, this guy comes to
I'm professional.
This guy
now,
comes to my
sponsored.
place at 2 a.m. asking me if I have these specific size canvases, which occasionally I do, but like last time I didn't.
Well, they'll deliver a 6x6 with the truck to the
So
house.
there you go. Now this
They'll
guy's
deliver 6 of
like,
them.
he doesn't need my canvas anymore. That's awesome. Like, leave me fuck alone with your canvas bullshit.
You want
You
some
got
of my
it fucking
canvases?
sponsored
You
now.
want some of my canvases?
I don't know if that'll work, you know, because
I need 3 4x4s.
as far as canvases, I think you're starting to catch up to me on how many we've sold, but it still might be worth me giving Mr. Hashem a call and saying, hey, that guy you sponsored, I don't know, man, I sold more canvases than him. Like, and a lot of them were actually Hashem canvases. Mickey was on a Hashem canvas.
Really?
The Mickey Mandala was a 10 by 10 Hashem canvas, yes.
Because we are sponsored by Hashem now.
Hashem is amazing. They actually really are. It's like they're such a higher end art.
Oh my god, are you sponsored or I am? I know nothing about them.
See,
I'm
that's
listening to the pitch.
I've been in there, and the reason I go in there is because they're one of the only places that sells all the colors of my paint that I use, the brand, the Americana Deco Art paint that I use. They have like the
Okay.
whole line, whereas Michael's and the other one, Omer de Serra, our other art store that's close by,
Oh, you want to be sponsored?
they
now.
don't have the whole line. They
This
have
is
a
your
lot
in.
of them,
This is your in, bro.
but Hashem has all of them.
This is how you're gonna get Americana.
And they have higher end canvases, and
Those
they
are
have
mine. Those are
they
mine.
have
Look at
amazing
that.
framing.
I'll get
and,
you an Americana deal.
And they're I mean, what can I say? They definitely are an art store worth visiting if you're in the Montreal area. I don't know how many locations they have. I'll go one out at Promenade St. Bruno, which is the closest one to us, I think. But yeah, so there you go. So, but like the point we brought this up is like sometimes when you take part in events, like he said he wouldn't want to do it for the same amount of money next year, but let's see how many free canvases he gets throughout the next year, and then add up the value of all those and ask if he'd do it again next year.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is take
Like
advantage of these opportunities.
it's when you're out there in
arise.
public, you never know who you're gonna meet and who's gonna pass by and who's gonna fall in love with what you're doing, and you know, in this case, having a giant wall behind you that you're working on or that you're done.
That was that was like the wall that they kind of sponsored, and they didn't tell me that Hashem was sponsoring the wall.
Okay.
That's my understanding, is that like they came to interview me because I was the artist that they were sponsoring. So I was like, you want to sponsor me for real this time and not give the money to someone else?
Yeah.
Give
Nice.
directly to me and all the canvases. You know how annoying canvases can be. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And they're hundreds of dollars. Well,
Yeah.
not really, but
Yeah, they are. The biggest ones are hundreds of dollars.
but if you could have like, yeah, you want to have a 6x4x3 three times and
Yeah.
do triptychs.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
anything over 4 by 6 feet is like super
it's career
expensive.
changing.
Yeah.
It's career changing to be able to do triptychs
Yeah.
and big
Like
things.
I can't. One of the reasons I'm really looking forward to releasing my huge painting is it just takes my art into that next dimension where the people that will be able to display that will need to have a space big enough to display that. Therefore, like it takes my art into a new market, into a new higher end market where small paintings will just never get me. And I've spoken about that in earlier episodes where like I want to go big and get my art into places you know, large homes and institutions and offices and things like that. So anyway, and you know, slow and steady, it's probably not going to happen with my first big painting. Like this one behind me is still behind me. It's not on the wall in an
It starts that
institution
intention, though.
yet. But you know, it definitely does. Definitely, my big paintings get a lot more attention on social media. And
I said puts out that intention.
Oh, I thought you said gets more attention.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
But puts out that intention.
Mm-hmm. It does, and it also shows like that I'm willing to invest in my career. You know, like the
Yeah, who are you waiting for? Who's
eight
gonna
by
come
four
knocking?
an 8 by 4 foot canvas that cost me like $300 plus delivery, and I bought 2 of them, so I'm almost done one of them, and then I have another one that I'm gonna paint. So I had to invest that money, and some artists aren't willing to do that. So don't be a Jerry. If you want to like take your art career to that next level, start investing in some bigger canvases and see what happens. I've said a long time, my biggest regret in my art career is not focusing on bigger art earlier in my career. That's one of my biggest regrets as an artist.
And one of my biggest success was doing big art early in my career.
There you go. So
ironic.
So it's there you go. You heard it from both of us. I mean, I made a lot of sales with my small art, and it looks good to have made a lot of sales. But at the end of the day, it would have looked better if those were big paintings.
To say,
like if
I
I
make that much money,
if I sold a big painting for $60 instead of a little one for $20, it probably would have been better to sell the big painting for $60.
Oh, okay, yeah, true.
You know, like back when I was just starting, I lived in Costa Rica. The market for art there is totally different because people's incomes are totally different. People make $600-700 a month, like a good job. If you're like 2 or 3 languages, might pay like $1,200 or $1,300 a month. I mean, of course, there's exceptions. There's people who own businesses and sports book bet owners and people that work in shady industries and stuff, but. I wasn't one of those people, at least not at that point in my life. And, so anyway, working in the art business over there, like I had to sell my first paintings for rates that like the people that I had in my circles could afford. And in my case, like some of my first paintings sold for literally like $16, like $8. I sold a painting for $8, and like I was happy about it because it was going to people who were friends, and they were friends of my my ex-wife, and extended family and things like that. So, just getting that feedback in the form of like, here's some money for your beautiful thing was super, super, super encouraging.
Mm-hmm. And it always forever is. You just brought it up with the toy.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter the amount of money, it's forever encouraging.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, as a business, which is what I think that part of the reason we host Arty Time is to teach artists like how to make a business out of their art and how to be able to do it full time.
I can't wait to go back to my business.
Is like
my business.
You want to be doing the bigger art. You want to be making sure that you're selling enough art, or when you sell art, that it makes you enough money to actually keep continuing on what you're doing and making a living. So like, especially now with social media being slow, I'm not selling as many pieces of art, but I raised my prices to accommodate that situation, and also to accommodate the amount of time and dedication I've given to my art career over the last 7 years, and the exposure I've gotten, and just the level where I'm at. I have collectors who buy my art and pay thousands of dollars for it. I'm not going to go backwards. So, my life, at this point, I'm almost 40. My bills are higher. My business, if I want to grow it, it's not as easy as it used to be to just hit share 400 times on Facebook in different groups. I have to pay them if I want people to see my ads. I have to pay everywhere. I have to hire somebody to do some of my social media on the side. So, like, it's gotten more expensive to run the type of business that I run. So my art prices have to go up to be able to make that work.
What's the experience is there?
The
experience in making a painting is there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely my skill and talent as an artist have increased as well. There's no way I could have done something like this detailed, and no way until like recently. It was just like beyond my skill level, or even like my patience level to deal with something like 3D like this. Like there were so many. I put my hand in the paint when I was going, because I'm used to painting on something flat. But on this I would paint his hair brown in the back, and then I'd want to turn him around to paint his nose, and I'd put my freaking thumb in the hair in the back, and then I'd be like, ah, crap, and I'd move it, and then I'd put the brown from the hair in the shirt, and I'd have to paint. Like, it was just a cascade of But I learned from painting this thing, and when I paint 3D things from now on, I know I got to be patient and go slowly and let things dry before I turn around and try and work on the other side. And like, so like it was a learning experience, and it was something that that the time and skill and dedication of all the previous art I've made this possible. So like all the art I continue to make is going to make all the big awesome art I'm going to make in the future possible too. And little coffee things too are pretty awesome still.
What do you think the skill really is? Do you think it's patience or tools, more tools in the playbook?
I think that patience is a must, because if you don't have the patience, and again, it depends what style of art you do. You know, for some people, for some guy, his whole shtick might be dipping things in black paint and signing it, like just taking a household object, dipping it in black paint and signing it. That could be an artist's entire shtick. So I mean, it depends. Like, what's the skill? Is the skill marketing? Is the skill coming up with a creative idea, like being the guy that dips everything in black paint and just signs random household objects? Or is it the skill it takes to learn the brush manipulation, like I've done? And we're live again. Sorry about the interruption. So like, I don't know what the real skill is. I guess the skill and the real trick of it is not giving up. And like,
So you think a guy who dips something in black and household items in black could make it?
sure, if he did it for years.
And why would that? Let's go into that. What would he have to do right?
All he would have to do right is continually keep with the shtick.
Staying consistent.
Staying consistent.
Even if your thing is just dipping a shoe in black ink and things.
Well, a shoe sometimes, maybe it could be a mug, maybe it could be a toothbrush.
Because they'll understand the story after you consistently do it over and over that you're the black ink guy.
Yeah, and like sometimes, like after a while, the story is that. Like the story doesn't have to be any more complicated than you're the black ink. You're the
No, it has
guy
to be
that's
easy. It
making
has to be
this-
easy.
Yeah,
It has to be easy.
I
to
mean,
remember.
and again, it also depends how, like, on the way you as an artist or a person are. Because like me, I'll be honest, you probably hear me talk more than you hear Germ talk in these podcasts. I like to talk. I like to write. I like to express my thoughts verbally and in words. Some artists don't. Some artists really like to keep that stuff inside and focus on the objects and the things, and like let those things speak for themselves and leave their whole biography and their whole, all you know about their art from a written perspective is maybe 5 sentences in their artist bio on their website. But if they keep the shtick up for enough time and get it in front of enough people and show it to enough people, I guarantee you people are gonna find it interesting and follow along and wonder why everyone else finds this so interesting. But eventually they'll find it interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was there ever a TV show that you watched the first 1 or 2 episodes and you were kind of not into it, but then like you heard other people talking about it at work, so you got back into it and gave it a second chance, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, like 2-3 seasons later, that's all everyone in your office is talking about?
No, Game of Thrones sucks, bro.
I never watched any episode of Game of Thrones. In fact, if you showed me clips from like Hunger Games and Game of Thrones and made me guess which was which, I would, very good chance I'd get them wrong. But that's neither here nor there. The point of it is like the consistency and doing it over and over, and eventually,
And making the story understandable,
Mhm.
digestible, so that it's not too complicated, not too far fetched, and it's real. And
Yeah.
authentic.
It's also understanding that, I think part of it anyway, maybe I'm wrong, but I think part of it is the story evolving. Like over time, I've noticed like the people who collect my art and buy my art repeatedly, they enjoy seeing my career grow. They're happy when my prices go up, and they're happy when I get more exposure, and they're happy when good things happen for me, and they continue encouraging me because they're like, nice, like I don't know, because sometimes you'll come across people who like will support you when you're an underdog, and then when you start to reach any type of other people are liking your art too, or like you get in a magazine or on TV or something, they'll be like, oh, now you're not the underdog anymore, and they'll stop enjoying following along. But at the end of the day, those aren't the 80%. Those are the the 20% that only buy one or two things and don't collect your stuff. So.
And plus, it doesn't really matter. You can be on TV one time. It means nothing. The next day is the next day, and it's no different than the day before.
Yeah, I was on TV one time in 2014.
It's about really, if you could, fostering that energy where you always are on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Not, well, I guess with Instagram, that's what it is. It's a cult of personality.
Mm-hmm.
When people see people's faces on a screen, they can attribute that to celebrity or cult of personality. And on Instagram, they're allowing you to do Instagram stories or post your pictures of your selfie. Eventually, if people see that and associate it with high like numbers and social clout,
Mm-hmm.
they attribute that person as Canadian famous.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the phenomenon that's happening here, is that you gotta show your face. Keep telling everyone you gotta show your face.
Mm-hmm.
It's cult of personality. If they
Or you got
know
to
your face,
you got to dip the mask in black and wear that every time you do
Or a mask.
anything in public.
or a mask, something memorable, something that like you see it once and you can remember it. And faces are pretty good at that.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd remember a black face mask like.
That's good.
Yeah.
Then you can't take it off.
Well, it would be cool if the guy has the black face mask
It has to
on,
be consistent,
and
so you
then
can't take
he
it off.
and then he does take it off, and underneath it is a white mask.
Oh, that'd be Inception. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh, sorry.
That's the story evolving.
Sorry, yin yang. Like there
That's
you go.
the story evolving.
That's the story evolving, exactly. So anyway, this
I think
artist, I don't know if there's an artist out there who's dipping stuff in black, and like if there is, like I'm totally like sorry for not repping you because I just made that idea up on the spot, and like if there is somebody out there doing that, that's probably pretty awesome. One of those 100 monkey things, but who knows? If there is the chances of them actually watching Arty Time podcast, what do you think those chances?
I put good SEO on the titles now,
Nice, good stuff.
so they're more likely to find it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we should put like artists who dip stuff in black paint, like as part of the SEO on this video, and we'll see what happens. Stay tuned to see if a mystery artist who dips stuff in black ever shows up on the show. Who knows?
But the point being is that if you do even that consistently, it could be a success.
Yeah.
There was a guy at Mineral Festival that had a canvas on a sideways bike. Okay, the bike was sideways, so you could turn the gear. It would turn the back tire, but the back tire would turn the canvas.
Oh,
Now that
okay,
the
that's
canvas
awesome.
is spinning, he could put buckets at the top and spill buckets.
Okay, that's
different
cool.
colors, and it
That's
was
like a show to watch.
Yeah. Not even a show, it was like a sculpture, because even when it wasn't running, people would come by and you could see it in their eyes. They were conceptualizing how it works and what this person was doing, because the canvas would be done. And then, gloss that shit, throw it on the wall, 10,000. And that's not that different than the dipping in the black.
Like one of my favorite
It's a
things.
shtick.
I like where you're going with that, because one of my favorite things to watch is Rube Goldberg machines. You know what those are?
Yeah, machines that do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they're nothing. Where the ball rolls and it like makes a fan spin and it keeps rolling and it goes down a pipe and then makes hits a bell. It like just ends up going all over the place doing freaking nothing at all. But like they're pretty cool. That's art to
They're
me.
fascinating.
To me, they're pieces of art. To
And
me, each
fascinating.
individual
You watch
one
it.
is a piece of art. You want to watch it. You want to follow where it goes and everything. And that concept in art is interesting. It's like getting movement in there and getting something where there's like something for people to figure out. And I have a piece that I'm gonna work on eventually where I have like mechanical stuff that's gonna go into it, and I don't know when it's gonna happen. It's a big project that needs somebody who kind of knows engineering and electrical and or mechanical engineering stuff, which I don't. But eventually I'll find the right person to collaborate with on it, and we'll get it done, and it'll blow people's minds. And yeah. So.
You shared the idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah, it is a good idea. It's a fan-fucking-tastic idea, actually.
And it's done. It just needs to be built.
It just needs to be built, and I need somebody that can, realize it. Like, like Entheon. Entheon, Alex Gray had the idea to build Entheon, but he's not an architect, nor is he like a builder. He's an artist, and he conceived the idea, but he couldn't actually, go out there and do it all himself. And so there's other people doing it. So it's the same concept with this. I need some help to make my project come to life. And that's another thing that artists get to do when we get encouraged with dinero, is we can turn that into bigger, cooler things for you all to enjoy, and like to make the world go what, or like wow, or like ew. I think artists just to make people freaking have experiences.
Artists are the best investors. You give them the money and they invest it in their own business, but their business is a business of wow.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I want to invest some more money in his art soon. Like, I'm looking forward to adding to my collection of Rat Boys.
They've just gone up in price.
Yeah, well, I know. So I'm gonna have to deal with that, because now.
I was joking,
but
you drive a hard bargain.
But you've also maybe we can make a deal on getting those canvases from your new contact.
Yeah, Americana too.
Or at least the Americana. Yeah, I'd rather the Americana, because the canvases need to match the same.
Oh, okay. Here's something that we should talk about on the podcast. First, I bought new earrings, and the guy was a terrible bargainer. He was just the worst. And an artist asked me later, how do you price your things, and how do you not look like an idiot when you price your things? You shut your mouth. That's the whole secret. You shut your fucking mouth. The guy, I asked him, how much are the earrings? $20. Alright, $15. $10. He couldn't shut his mouth.
But did you buy the earrings?
Yeah, of course I bought them for $10. But I would have bought them for $20. You know what I mean?
But he didn't know that.
He didn't know that.
He knows you bought them for $10.
I just shut up.
That's the oldest trick in the sales book, and I do that on the phone every day at work.
Bro, they're silver earrings.
Yo, it's $1,295, but today we have a special introductory offer at $895. But you know what? I see that you're a sole proprietor there, and I can cut you a little break. I'm a sole proprietor of my own art business, and I'm gonna give you a little break too. I'll bring it down to $695. Just don't tell anyone else.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because I was gonna give him $20.
Yeah, but now, some of those people might.
In the art world, you say that the canvas is $200. You don't say anything after that point.
Yeah. No, the art world. In my art world, you shouldn't even have to ask. The price should be there. That's my art world.
Okay, great. But sometimes people are like, I would really like to buy that. How much? It's over $100, first of all. And say a number. And then don't say anything. And wait to see what the person says. If they're like, oh, I can't, da-da-da. You can make payments.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start lowering the price. Intrigue them with the payments.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then later you can be generous and be like, I don't knock out $50 there, friend. Or something like that. But don't start lowering your price.
No, you're right. Like, selling earrings for $20 or selling a painting for $2,000 is a whole different market.
I don't want to know that, like, I have this canvas on my wall and I hustled you. I don't want to know that. I want to know that you're so successful that you don't get hustled.
Mm-hmm.
And you hold strong so that you'll never be hustled by anyone else.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you want it to be a strong story.
My whole take on pricing art has been spoken about before. There's a formula for it. It should be your hourly plus your materials times 2 to cover your business expenses. And as your career grows more, you raise your
X
hourly.
factor.
You raise your hourly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that your hourly covers, more of your expenses and blah, blah, blah. And then you can even put it times 3 once you hit that level where you need to, your expenses are really through the roof and your business needs to grow and you need to hire an employee and things like that. Raise your prices again. That's the wonderful thing about the art world is, like, as your career grows, like, you are going to be able to start charging thousands of dollars for paintings and tens of thousands of dollars for paintings, and people are going to buy them. Like, if you've gone through that phase where you've built yourself up there and you have a record of sales and you started selling paintings for $8 in Costa Rica, and then you've got this story that went all the way from there to where you've got these things behind me selling for $8,000 or $10,000, like, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for the money. if I was doing this for the money, then I wouldn't do this. I'd go to work. I'd stop working part time and I'd work full time at my job and be like, sorry, Jerm, you're done. Arty, you're on your own for Arty time. But it is part of it, you know. At the end of the day, artists are human beings with you know, things they want to do in life. They want to travel, they want to enjoy concerts, they want to maybe invest in a house property, they have families, they have kids, they have things to pay for, they have debts, whatever it is. Like it's not like being an artist automatically means that you need to live an ascetic lifestyle where you're like throwing away all worldly possessions and living like a monk making art. Like that's not how 99% of artists want to live their lives. But you know, so it's part of what makes it possible to continue making bigger and better and more inspiring art and or products that feature our art that are accessible to everyone.
But raising the prices?
Yeah, raising the prices on your original art. Like when I sell, now that my original art sells for more, I'm able to invest it into making products. When I was selling my paintings for $8, I wasn't turning around and making anything with my art. I was buying, you know, milk for a day with my art.
The more juice that comes into the revenue, the more investments and the more the business grows.
Yeah,
and the better it gets.
And the more comfortable an artist can feel, maybe taking a risk, like making nicer garments. Like these cost me a lot of money to get done, and you know, I get a really good reaction when I show them to people. Everyone who's bought one has loved it, and I love wearing them. I get good comments about them. A lot of people think that it's a patch, but it's actually embroidered right into the garment. So, you know, being able to make a move like this with my art income was an amazing opportunity for me. And it was also a big risk, though. And then, like, you know, when April came along,
it's a big step up. Now you wear your own clothing and it's embroidered.
Yeah. I mean, like, part of me kind of regrets investing the money in these because when April rolled around and I had that 20 days in a row with no sales, and I was like, oh man, you know, I wish I would have had money in the bank to pay my rent instead of, you know, a box full of jackets. But, you know, at the end of the day, it led me to where I am now, and I'm grateful to be where I am now, where I have an opportunity to earn some money, pay back my debts, and reinvest into my business for the long term, and not stress myself out too much every day about what's going on with my art business in the meantime. You know, I'm still working on my paintings slowly and steadily. I still make an appearance on social media almost every day, or at least you know, a few times a week, and you know, I still reach out to the people who take the time to reach out to me. You know, I'm still having conversations with some of my people who, like, we were talking almost every day on Messenger and things like that, because they reach out to me and they like that makes it easier for me to, you know, stay in touch with them. So like again, we've spoken about this before in other episodes. The best way to get in touch and like stay in the minds of your favorite artists and or your favorite people you're trying to network with is to comment on their stuff and, like, you know, make yourself visible on their social media accounts, because we appreciate that, like, big time. I know the people who comment on my stuff often, and I almost always take the time to thank them individually, and you know, like when I see their posts in my newsfeed, I'm way more likely to interact with them because I know them, and you know, they take the time to interact with me, etc., etc. If somebody added,
it's a no-brainer.
Somebody added me as a friend a year ago, and they never like my posts, and I see something from them in my newsfeed, especially if it's something that I'm not interested at all, like I might click that unfriend button. You know, so.
No, put in the time and be consistent. Make it simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't try too hard. And that's the ticket.
Yeah.
You could dip fucking cup in black paint, and it'll be successful.
Yeah.
With that model.
What if we just do that with every time we do an Arty Time podcast? I'm almost always drinking these juice boxes. We should just like dip them in black paint. Me and you sign them, and they're like our Arty Time fundraising boxes. boxes.
Boxes.
Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes. Bo Like, and we could save the money from dipping these in black paint if anybody buys them, and put them towards Arty Time merchandise. That's just like neither me nor you investing my money or your money. It's like the Arty Time podcast money could make Arty Time podcast merch.
By dipping things in black paint?
Not things, just this. Because this is the stuff that makes me have to pee every time. So, like, I don't know. It's got, like, that part of the story. But then again, it's not as connected to you.
No, I don't. It doesn't make me pee. I don't drink it, and I don't want to dip it in black paint.
Alright, well, I don't know.
Why do you have to pee right now? Is that what you bring it up?
No, but I don't know. I just thought it was a cool idea. Because, like, why
No,
not?
the
we,
point-
we could be the guys that dip stuff in black paint and sell it for a ton
No,
of money.
we could be the guys who do something consistently and smart.
Right. So imagine if we do one of these every episode of Arty Time and sign it and date it. All we do is black paint it. And, like,
Well, not investing
bang,
in
and then every
No, that's
Arty
easy to
Time
do that.
episode has a piece of art to go with it. I don't know. I think that would be cool.
It almost does. It's behind the scenes.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
know.
a pack of smokes right there that I'm gonna paint.
Yeah, but like,
That's way more sellable than that thing that I'm dipping in black paint.
I don't know. I was curious to see if
The
any.
point
I was
was
curious to see if anyone
be
would buy it
consistent with
because I
something,
wanted to see if anyone
don't-
wants Arty Time merch.
You're gonna fucking die.
Because I think we should make Arty Time merch.
Then we have You're Gonna Fucking Die.
Why? You have enough merch?
Didn't you have You're Gonna Fucking Die?
Well, yeah, but that's You're Gonna Die. It doesn't say Arty Time. There's no Arty Time connection. It just says You're Gonna Die. So it's
I'd rather that than a hard time, sure.
all right. You know what shirt? Like, speaking of shirts, like, do they know about like Bootleg Jesus? We never showed one on the show, eh?
You don't have any because I bought them all off you.
Yeah, that's true. They don't exist anymore.
So
So
what are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that it was time to make a Bob Ross 3000 shirt.
No!
So here we go.
Is he in a Sandman dollar?
There is a Bob Ross 3000 shirt. So these are fresh off the press, and he literally didn't know about these until right now, and I totally almost forgot I was wearing it. So it's a good thing we brought up shirts. But yeah, here is Bob Ross 3000.
Get that picture.
We took it here.
Okay,
So there you go. So there are Bob Ross 3000 shirts, which are going to be available at nexusvisions.com shortly. And
You really have more than one?
I really have more than one.
Oh my
Do you want to
God.
buy them all off me again and get them off the market? Or do you want to maybe trade them for some Rat Boys? Like, things could be done.
Bob Ross 3000.
Bob Ross 3000, it's like, it's the best t-shirt ever. It's Germ and a mandala and Bob Ross's name with the number 3000. Like, it's pretty much 4 awesome things. Germ's face, my mandala, Bob Ross's name, and the number 3000. The number 3000 is probably the least cool thing on here. And it's still pretty fucking cool. Like, come on, what number is cooler than 3000? Type it down in the comments. Let us
Maybe
know
9,000.
I don't know. 9,000's not that cool. 3,000 is like,
More believable.
it's the next millennium.
Yeah, it's more believable.
It is.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It was priceless that I got to do that live on Arty Time. So yeah, Bob Ross 3000. There you go. Invest.
And that's a very, for me, a story that people can understand. Bob Ross, I understand, is a person who made paintings every day. That's pretty much his storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I have a similar storyline. So by associating myself with that person, and if I'm consistent with it, I can merge with that storyline, which is he has great positive association.
For sure.
Bob Ross is amazing on all kinds of levels, not just doing something creative easily every day. So it's beneficial for me to use that storyline to be consistent.
But at
with
the
that
same
storyline.
time, it part of his storyline was that look how easy it is to just make happy trees and happy clouds. I'm like, just don't worry, man. Here you go, do it. It's fun.
Mm,
And that's, to me, that's what your art is. It's
very
here.
similar.
It's simple. It's easy. It's fun. Just do it. I do it every day. Like,
Yeah.
And you make it look easy. I know it's not always easy, but
I am Bob
you
Ross
make it
3000,
look
bro.
easy.
I'm fucking Bob Ross 3000. I really am.
Officially, you're Bob Ross 3000. Like, you're on a T-shirt now as Bob Ross
I'm
3000.
owning it. I'm owning it. And soon Kid Crush will come out.
So yeah, I mean, today when I told Jeremy, I have to go get changed out of my jogging pants before we do the Arty Time podcast. I actually had to go put this on because
That's what that was.
that's what that was all about. Yeah, I had it waiting.
But with the Bob Ross
that's
thing
why
in
I was all
mind-
excited when he got here. I'm like, do you want to do an Arty Time? You want to do an Arty Time?
With the Ross thing in mind, we said that you got to know when it's time to pull the plug on something. Bob Ross is good for a certain amount of time, but it has to evolve. Your story always has to evolve. So you have to know at one point that it's run its course and you have to do something else.
That's why I asked you when you got here if you were still doing the Bob Ross 3000 thing.
He's got on. He's got on. And some people, you say that I changed too much,
Perfect timing. They arrived here this afternoon, like just before I went to work. So like I was like,
no, it's still Bob Ross. But you say that you're always saying that things are changing all the time. But in this fast-paced world, isn't the changing all the time maybe the perfect move?
Yeah, in your case for sure. I don't think I could remain focused through changing as much as you do your focus on things, but like that is your focus, is always changing stuff.
It doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to be the canvas. It's just how you do things.
Yeah, no, I guess you're
how you
right.
present yourself.
Yeah.
1 week you can present yourself in a funny way, and then the next week a more stern way, and those things could evolve.
For sure. Like I think my gut feeling is this probably won't be the last time that
you put my face on
a shirt. I put your face on a t-shirt
with the caption "Bootleg Jesus." I was never Bootleg Jesus.
Bootleg Jesus and Bob Ross 3000. Yeah, Bootleg Jesus was hilarious. I know you guys weren't around, but he I forget who I told it to, but I said he turns Bart into Mickey like water into wine. He's like a bootleg Jesus, and that's where the idea came. So like, with his long hair, he kind of looks a little bit like a bootleg of Jesus. So yeah, I took his picture, put it on a shirt, and wrote #bootlegjesus on it, and that was a t-shirt that existed until they mysteriously all disappeared off the market.
Do I get a free Bob Ross 2000 shirt?
Are you a size medium or a large?
Large.
Yes.
I'll wear it tomorrow downtown.
Well, that's the thing that sucks about you not having a phone. Because if you did have a phone, I totally would have come and found you downtown today, like after work, wearing this shirt. But unfortunately,
maybe you're off tomorrow. You can just come tomorrow.
Well, with the weather today, I wasn't sure if it was going to be piss pouring tomorrow. Anyway, doing it live on Arty Time was better than just showing up wearing a t-shirt with your face on it live. Well, it depends who would have been there at the moment, though. That could have been cool. But anyway, this was cool, too. It made my day, anyway. So, yeah. We're not going to dip this in black paint, I guess. There's going to be no Arty Time merchandise.
I was expecting the Bob Ross 2000 shirt to just be like Bob Ross 3000 in a metallic font. Like a Van Halen type font. Where it's just like, it looks like it's made of
Well, because Bob Ross is like an icon, like a religious icon. So if anyone's face deserves to be in the middle of a mandala, it would be Bob Ross. And if anyone's face deserves to be even more so, it would be Bob Ross 3000. It's the 3000. Is
Bob Ross alive? Yeah.
No.
What?
No, Bob Ross died a long time ago.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't know, like almost 20 years ago, maybe? Quite, like a long time ago.
Why in the reincarnate?
Are you the reincarnation of Bob Ross?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I've never seen you pet a squirrel.
That's true.
You could be. It's possible.
No, I'm not like,
it's like
the advanced version.
Like the Dalai Lama, like the artists have a Bob Ross.
That's for sure the story.
Like artists should have a Bob Ross. Like there's always a Bob Ross. And when the Bob Ross died, like all the artists of the world searched for the next little Buddha Bob Ross.
Because that's where kind of the story was going. Is that it's not always me, Bob Ross 3000. Sometimes people like can take away the throne and become Bob Ross 2000.
The entity can like
So we have to
take over anybody's spirit for a while.
we have to get that storyline going, and that will be the final evolution, and that's where the story will finally die when it's finally like reached its conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's fully like a story.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that I have I bought one for myself to keep though.
Yeah, I'm still on the phase of Bob Ross 2000,
Yeah.
who paints illusion 3D things, and there was the Hello Kitty Boo that was so good. This one's I don't think you can see it from there. It's a pack of smokes. A Marlboro pack of smokes.
Cool. Oh, you know what logo is that?
The Super S. It's just a Super S.
I was thinking it would be kind of cool to have like a pack of smokes but with the starter logo, because it's like the starter drug for people, right? It's like most people I know is the first thing they ever smoked was a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
Starter pack. Starter. I don't know. Anyway.
Starter. No, I don't know. It's just, I like doing illusions and the 3D thing.
Well, it's working good, man. It's like got that MC Escher kind of vibe. So yeah, how long have we been talking now? Ooh, 56 minutes. I feel like this episode's gone longer, but it hasn't. It's only 56 minutes.
Well, we're gonna break an hour.
Are we? Okay, what else do you have to talk about?
Remember, kids, stay consistent with an easy story to remember. What that story is, it could evolve, so don't stress out. It could just be like, I'm out of paint. I gotta get more paint. I'm going to the store to get paint. That literally could be the story today. You know, and the people are like, oh, okay, the guy gets paint. Don't try to jam everything down his fucking throat. You know, take it easy. And then the next day, you may not painting. Maybe you like fishing. It's good for the story of art. Because art is memorabilia, and it's powered by a story and fueled by a story. So you have to fuel the story and tell the story. An arrogant, unsuccessful artist believes that it'll happen on its own.
Yeah, like
someone's gonna come digging through your trash to find out what you ate today and write it down in golden manuscript, so that later when you're dead, people will find it.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I've met artists like that think like they need to dedicate all their time to their technique and none of their time to their networking and or social skills and or business and or social media and or anything. They're like they'll spend 3 years on a painting and then they'll have this masterpiece that they're convinced the world is just gonna, they'll become famous once it's complete perfectly. And then when they're ready to show it to people, guess what? There's no one to show it to because no one cares. No one's interested in anything. You don't have a following. You don't have an email list. You don't have a website. You have your family and like your real life, 132 people from high school on your Facebook. Like, who are you going to show this thing to? Who's going to give a fuck? No one. You need to spend years building out your network before chances are you're going to run into someone that owns Hashem at Mural Festival because you're painting a freaking 6-story wall. Those things don't happen overnight. Those things have to, start from a seed. And like if you're still in that seed phase, like don't look at artists that are 10 years ahead of you. Look at artists that are a year ahead of you or 2 years ahead of you. I mean, look at the artists that are 10 years ahead of you, but don't expect to be there overnight and figure out ways to like jump the line. Like you gotta, go through the same line that every other successful artist had to wait in and learn how to navigate through to get where they are.
It wouldn't be worth it if you didn't have to suffer.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why I haven't been active in social media and why I'm low energy now, because I suffered. There's a reason why you suffer, because it wouldn't be worth it if you didn't. You could just go around in life, gain everything you want. What the fuck would be life?
Yeah, no, I mean...
You'd get it all, okay? By the end of the week, you'd have it all. Then
yeah.
what? Then what? What would you do once you have it all?
It'd
be over. Then you'd have that.
Yeah.
And then it would literally be the shittiest thing, the shittiest life of all time. So by having that suffrage, it keeps the mooks at bay, and it makes it really worth it when you get it.
Totally. No, I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with my art career in the next 3 to 5 years. If I'm able to, maintain working at this place and maintain the same type of salary where I'm able to reinvest into my art career, it's going to be, the possibilities are pretty big of what I could manifest and make happen. And I'm excited to see where it goes. It's a weird phase in my art career, but it's also a super exciting one where I feel like I'm really going to be leveling up into that next sphere of of an art career where like it's
Financial
where I have
freedom.
people helping me basically because for 7 years I've done it all myself. I did all my social media myself. I did everything myself. I did my website myself. I did my photography for the most part myself. I did every little aspect of my business. I did it myself, and I'm really looking forward to getting some help with some of it, so I don't have to do it all myself, and I can focus more on the thing that only I can do, which is the art. Anyone can, copy paste my social media posts on my 8 other social medias after I write them on one. Not everyone can paint what I paint. So that's what I really want to get back to focusing on. At the beginning of my art career and at the beginning of everyone's art career, I think you have a lot of time to paint. And when I first attended Chris Dyer's workshop in like 2014, when I was just getting things going, before I actually quit my job, I wondered, like, I heard him say he doesn't have that much time to paint, and I wondered why. I'm like, you must have tons of time to paint, like, but like the further my career got, the more I realized how little time you can end up with painting to paint if you're doing all these other things yourself. Because it takes time. It takes time to do SEO. It takes time to put listings on a website for your new products. It takes time to organize travel. It takes time to, do all those things that aren't art. And, that's where I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of help I can get with some of those things so that I can get back to focusing on the bigger, better, more mind blowing art.
Yeah. With that said, we're gonna close this because I want to paint this, and I haven't had any time to paint.
But I don't have to pee yet, dude. Like, you don't want to paint the bottles black. I don't have to pee. Like, this isn't a standard Arty time ending. So should we end it with the song at least? Because we didn't do it at the beginning, eh? Arty time, Arty time, Arty on. Excellent. Peace, guys. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing night, and we hope you tune into episode 14, when we'll talk about. What are we going to talk about?
We'll be back full energy, and we're gonna give it to you.